Hello everyone, this is Dark Urjo, and today they actually released the balance patch early today. They released it on Thursday instead of it being on a Friday. So I actually tried to do a recording of this, and it was a terrible quality because I just woke up when I did the recording. On top of that, I was not reading along well with it. Well, I was complaining on things on it before, so I already seen everything on here, unfortunately. But that means I also don't have to spend as much time talking about this. So we're only going to get 5 new units actually being buffed, and then we're getting the Victorious Flag getting buffed, Rage is getting buffed, and then 4 like Constellation for mages is getting buffed. So I can go through this a lot quicker than my original video I was going to record because yeah. So basically LQC is getting extinction on her S3 when she kills a unit. And let me just say this: I get why they're giving her extinction because they wanted to make her a full on 100% counter into Abyssal Euphine, which it's true because pretty much most Abyssal Euphines are on Holy Sacrifice, and this kills Holy Sacrifice Euphines. So it's great on that paper, and also anyone else who tries to do like a revive comp type of thing, it's good. My issue with this is, and also the reason why I was kind of complaining a lot when I did my other video, when I tried to do my other video before, I tried this before, is it's just the fact that they're just giving everyone in the game who needs a buff, it's just getting free extinction. Like I understand the whole purpose of it though, buffing LQC to be a good counter into Abyssal Euphine, and that's great. It works for Little Queen Charlotte, so I'm not as pissed off as I would have been if they just tossed it on other units, like they have been before. But it's just that, as my favorite unit has always been Lilibet, and she is the OG Extinction unit. And instead of buffing her again and making her viable, they're just like, well, we'll just give this unit extinction, give this unit extinction, give this unit extinction. Everyone in this game is getting extinction at this point, and it pisses me off because I'm like, just please make Lilibet viable. She was never viable in any point of this meta, in any of the metas. She was always considered she was usable at times, and she's kind of usable now, but it's even during RB meta, she was barely used if at all, because she was still weaker than other extinction units, which is sad because she was the OG one. So that's the big issue I have with this LQC buff. It makes sense with her though. I like the fact that she's getting extinction because she's actually can fight a Euphine, and she's a unit that kind of makes sense with it. I'm just tired of the fact that Lilibet is just. I know she got buffed a year or two ago, but they're just well, instead of buffing her and making her a counter to revive, we'll just give everyone else the ability to deal with revive. But yeah, I don't know. So I'm kind of half and half with Little Queen Charlotte buff. And then at first I was complaining about this defense imprint concentration is going to crit chance, which I guess it makes sense because that means you can lower your crit rate you have on your gear and then just go for higher defensive subs in your gear. It makes sense, but as far as people, if you already have a build on LQC right now, this is technically going to make you weaker, and you're going to have to switch out 1 or 2 pieces of your gear because you don't necessarily need to have insanely high crit rate on her. You just I want to say 75% is what 70 to 75. Well, maybe not 70, but 75%. I think is a good range of crit rate you want her anyways. So for example, I have 81% crit rate on her, and I have just under 1300 defense, about 13k HP. So mine's a mid tanky but a higher attack, higher crit damage build. This is gonna make me lose 90 defense, so I'm gonna have to readjust 1 or 2 pieces and lower crit rate, which obviously I looked at my gear, I couldn't even do that because I don't have to, because a lot of my gear is either they already have defense on it, so I'm gonna have to search for a different kind of gear or swap other people with other units. It's so annoying, but I get the why. It makes it easier to build her, and overall it's better for her, but it's just gonna be a hassle for me to go re-get multiple pieces of gear just to make up for this, or I'll just have so much access crit rate, which I guess isn't bad, but it's still a buff for her for sure, and it'll make her better. I still think we need a dark unit that has this kind of ability against light units. We need a light killer, like because we already have. Because we have Little Queen Charlotte and Aiden for killing darks. We don't have one that kills light units besides for like Axe God. You could have buffed Axe God as well, and because we need light killers, because there's not like anything, and light's still broken as hell. Top Mount Luluka. I said it's gonna be quicker, but this is not gonna be quicker. So she's losing her 10 souls to guaranteed a double hit on her S1, which honestly is kind of a hurt. It's gonna hurt though, because like she was a good counter into like if you fight Spirit Eye Celine, or if you fight Tempest Cern or Roy, or I'm trying to remember anyone else who has who can't be killed in one hit. Galililius. She was actually could have been a good counter to Galililius as well. So now she doesn't. Now she's losing her consistency on her Soulburn S1, but she is getting the fact that she's getting a free barrier on her S2 for 3 turns, and it's still it gives you, and the attack buff that you give the team is pushed up back to her S2. So when it's her turn, she'll S2, give herself a big barrier, hopefully a big barrier. We don't know the actual size of it yet, but she'll give herself a barrier. She'll give attack buff to the team, and then get her extra turn, and then her S3 gives her attack buff when you use S3, and then obviously you keep the extinction, and then it pushes the team by 20%. So, and also you can Soulburn now for 10 souls, and this is a huge thing right here though, because she was pretty much almost always on like Dignus Orb. Now with she getting a free barrier, she doesn't need Dignus Orb anymore. Now you can go for Book, or you can go for like Black Hand of the Goddess, or even Portrait, or if you haven't used it yet, or you really love Top Mount Luluka, oh my god, Scam Call, get out of here, Scam Caller. I get them like every fucking time. I'm sick and tired of getting like 4 scam calls a day. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so Black Hand of the Goddess, Portrait, or if you love Top Mount Luluka enough, you can always go for like Symbol of Unity, because it's not bad to have Symbol of Unity on a unit with extinction, especially if you were dealing with accuracy, evasion units. But yeah, this is pretty good. Also, the big thing about this is increasing attack of the caster on the S. Her S3 has the attack buff for herself before you S3, before you attack, or before you do damage. This means it gets past like Politis or Celine type of thing, because currently, if you were to try to use Top Mount Luluka right now, if you drafted her, they're gonna get hit by a green Celine or a Politis. You're gonna get hit by one of those 2 units, or even Summer Luluka might get popped up, and so they can cut the CR push you do to your team. You're gonna get punished for doing the S2, so you would not get attack buff, and Top Mount Luluka without attack buff is not doing anything. Now she actually is gonna be able to use S3. If they have Celine, you can just S3 on your turn anyways, and still get the attack buff for yourself. You get the CR push either too, so you get this team CR push as well, which is huge as well. So even if they have Politis or Celine, you still get the CR push for your team. Also, I didn't think about this until like way later on after this after I saw this before, but this also means that you can actually do all this, give yourself attack buff, get yourself CR push, while also dealing with getting past Moon Bunny, because I keep forgetting that like Moon Bunny would destroy Top Mount Luluka currently right now too. You can now S3 get attack buff even and kill a unit and not get punished from Moon Bunny. I mean, yes, you will not get the attack you not get attack buff for your team, and you will not get the barrier if you don't S2, but you at least get the self attack buff and CR push. And if it's enough, and if you get enough soul, if you have enough damage to kill a unit, it's worth it at the end of that. So Top Mount Luluka is a good buff for sure. I think this is going to be. I can't wait to actually try her. I need to rebuild her as well, but definitely a great buff. Requiem Rowana. So this one, I don't think she really needed a buff technically. She's actually kind of scary as the way she is. I mean, yeah, she might be like falling off a little bit, or she might not be picked as much. I consider her like back when they buffed LHC, Lionheart Sirmia when she got buffed. I was like, she was, Lionheart Sirmia was already still good at that point. She was just falling off and not as spammed as before. But this part I have no problem with. It can only be activated once per turn. Is getting removed. So now you can't counter her with like Politis or Abyssal Euphine, because now she while yes, she'll still only get 50% of the CR push. But now if you're using stuff like, Ran, Conqueror Lilius, anyone else who has an extra turn for our CR push type, an extra turn, they'll get pushed up 50, and then they'll take their extra turn and the 50 again. So while it does work with that, it'll still cut. Obviously, you can still destroy, slow her down because it'll still take 2 turns for you to get her turn if they have Politis or a Euphine. But it still basically gets past that, right? And then she's losing her scaling S3 damage for just base increased damage, which is fine because, I mean, you're probably not going to get hit by the S3 more than one time anyways, unless, of course, they go for something like, Assyria for the hell of it. But this is the one people are being scared of, too, dispelling 1 buff. I understand that, but at the same time, if you're using, like, Rowana, you're probably also already going to get hit by another unit that strips anyways, because you're probably going to use stuff. They're probably going to use either Ran on you, or they're going to use Conqueror Lilius on you, and both of them already strip buffs anyway. So it's like, but then again, they're not going to have 250 effectiveness like Requiem Rowana does. So I can see the definite problem with that though. I don't know. I think this is definitely going to make her more usable. I just don't want to fight her, and I did say that I don't have her, but I actually pulled her, so I can build her now. But, this is still going to be really annoying to deal with. I think this is definitely a strong buff for her. And then Clarissa. Now, this is definitely this is obviously a PvE buff because this is a PvE unit. But this is actually going to be viable potentially for our, PvP as well. I mean, are people actually going to use Clarissa? Probably not. I pulled her out a few times in RT. I have a few videos, at least. I think I have 1 or 2 videos of her on my channel. But this is actually what I'm actually kind of excited for because, so her S3, when she kills an enemy with the S3, it gets reset, and she gets more damage on her S3. Also, she is getting 70% chance to death break now instead of 50. So again, this is definitely great for PvE stuff. This is obviously for PvE buff because she's doing more damage. She's getting resets. You get higher chance of death break. This is built for Wyvern or maybe potentially Rift when we get Ice Rift. This is great. However, it is also potential usage in RTA because extra damage on her is huge. Might be huge. I mean, we don't know how much, how big of an increase it is. Higher chance to death break is still pretty good too. Though if you're using her in RTA, you're probably cleaving with her. They probably already death broken the team already. But in case you didn't. And when you kill an enemy, it resets. Which also, when you think about it, I'll skip over Clary for a second. You could talk about this though, because in the lasting buff balance adjustment right here, it says Rage. So Rage is getting increased from 10 to 20. So anyone who uses Rage is going to get 10% more attack and 10% more speed. Most people would probably be saying Abyss's Tywin or Mort, because both of them, a Tywin actually is being played here and there, and then Mort sometimes gets picked here and there. But honestly, that's kind of nice for Clarissa, because you think about it, an extra 10% attack and 10% speed, that proc off of. So if your S3 kills 1 unit, you immediately go into your S2 because you get Rage. You get Rage and proc S2, so your Rage now will give you 20% attack and 20% speed. And you already death broken their team, assuming they weren't already death broken. So it'd be a lot of extra damage. So I gotta see how much damage she gets from this, because she might actually be really, really strong as a fun little, I might build her as a bruiser too, actually. I have her on almost 1k defense, almost 10k health, full damage build with that kind of stat line. Maybe I can lower her damage down and make her a bruiser, like a 1400, 1500 defense, 15k HP with good attack, and then build her as a unit that just, I don't know. I'll see how I feel about it. But yeah, I think Clarissa would be fun. Obviously, it should be great for PvE, though. She has always been good for PvE. So this is one that's huge, actually. Is 1-line changes, so normally this would piss me off, just 1-line changes, but this is actually a really big one. So Falconer Clary is losing the 30% damage that she got based off her defense. It is being changed to resource reduction by the target by 40% when using Light Step. Only applies on her S1 on her turn, though. But 40% resource reduction. That means that if they have, let's say they have 40 fighting spirit, you just drop 40 fighting spirit from them. Instantly, you just remove 40 for fighting spirit. If they are a focus unit, that drops 2 focus stacks off of them. So now, let's say for example, you are fighting Luluka, Summer Luluka, and Summer Luluka presses S. Summer Luluka outspeeds your team or whatever, or you just don't S3, or you just don't use any non-attack skill or whatever, right? And Summer Luluka presses S3, she gets 3 stacks, and she gives her the team, defense buff and ice cream. You S1, you just drop 2 of the focuses off of her, which means now if she outspeds you, then you drop 2 focus. She's down to 1 focus, so you can use your non-attack skill and now only bring up the 3. So you actually have window to use a non-attack skill. Or if, let's say, you outspeed her and you don't use your non-attack skill until she uses a 3, then that works too. So actually, it could be really strong. It could be great into it's really good into like MLShu as well, because like I forgot how many. Does she only get 2 stacks? I think. No, I think she gets 1 every one of her turn, then she gets 1 when she does her ability, or when she doesn't, one after her attacks basically. So let's say for MLShu, for example, MLShu S3 is one of your units. She's at 2 stacks, right? And then you just go pop both of those focuses right off of her, so she's back to nothing. You can just keep locking down MLShu from never being able to proc her empowered S3. And the thing is, though, while you might think, like, well, she was going to obviously lap you and eventually build it back up. No, actually, because usually you would probably build Falconer Clary around 250-ish speed or more, because she's also fast. And anyone who's played Falconer or played against Falconer Clary back in her Falconer Clary meta, she laps. She pushes herself a lot. She is very scary to fight. She can be very scary to fight. She is fast. She's a unit that can keep up and even outspeed like MLShu. So she can outspeed MLShu and constantly keep lowering her focus. So she would never be able to proc her empowered S3, which is really huge. I wonder if this works also with like evasion units. Like, can you hit like Rylot and Rylot just drops 2 focus? That kind of sucks if it hits Milim like that too. Like, does it work through misses? I gotta see that, because I think it does actually. I could have sworn, like Penelope said, like it still lowers it even on a miss, but that might just be specifically for her though. I gotta see, but like if that's true, then that even stops Rylot. That could stop Violet. I mean, Violet. No one has a problem with Violet, and Violet's not really that great either. It could stop Milim too, actually, which kind of sucks. I love playing Milim, but fighting spirit and focus is actually a really, really huge, because she laps a lot. So I'm actually looking forward to this, for sure. This is probably to me, this is the biggest buff, the biggest potential, I should say. Now, Victorious Flag. So it used to be if you are attacking someone, if you have the elemental advantage when you're attacking, you get an additional 16% damage. And if you're getting attacked by someone who has, the caster is an elemental advantage one being. Okay, so I guess if someone's attacking you and you have the elemental advantage, you lower 16% damage. Because of this was not really a crazy good artifact. Like, no one ever used it outside of maybe PvE situations. Now they're just making it so when you're attacking, you just get 16% damage, and when you're being attacked, you just get 16% damage reduction. Just straight up 16 damage reduction, 16% attack. However, you can only use it on Earth, Ice, and Fire, which kind of puts it on a more not as easily unit you can put it on, like because you can't put it on any light and dark units, and then you're thinking like, well, if it's a knight, you can always use sunglasses. If it's a warrior, you're probably just gonna use Draco Plate. But there is some other times you might run into a class that might, want something like this that doesn't have one of those built-in, doesn't have one of these kind of Draco Plate level artifacts. Or if it's, because think about it, sunglasses and Draco Plate are both limited units, limited artifacts. You might not have an extra one to spare. So this is still really huge, as long as it's an Earth, Ice, or Fire unit. In fact, if I can find a way to increase my Alencia's crit rate so I don't need Alencia's Wrath on her, I might put this on her. If I can get my Alencia to 100% crit rate without the artifact. This would be very good on her. Or you can put on Blue Shoe as well if you don't mind not having Snow Crystal type of thing. It's a very good artifact. I actually don't have any of these. I never bought them from the shop, guild shop. So I'm going to start saving up and trying to get these, because this is a very good artifact. I already talked about Rage. like I said, I think it's just gonna be it's gonna make a Tywin a little bit better. It's gonna make Mort actually a little better too because Mort's gonna have more speed, more attack. It's gonna make possibly Clarissa might actually be decent damage now to use an RTA. We'll have to see how much it is. Here is actually the main reason why I'm also decided to make another video, and I, because when I first saw this, I saw 2 speed and 4 speed, and I was talking like, these units are gonna lose 6 speed because it's what it looks like from over here, and they're getting crit rate. No, it's actually they lowered it from their awakening, so they don't get awakened into speed and stuff like that. They just getting it increased into their base now. So now that means base speed, Leo mages like these are gonna. It's not gonna be like 106 type of thing. It'll just be 112 on their base, and then you awaken into this. That's why I should have looked at this before, but I was like, I just woke up when I did the video, so I was half asleep still, and I wasn't paying attention. So instead of, I wanted to do it like first time impressions type of thing. Wanted like that's my plan was, but I rather not spew like non-important, not like real, false information and stuff like that. I'd rather just say, hey, I screwed up. I could have waited until I woke a little bit more and then read through it. But anyways, yes. So basically, these mages are going to get 8% more free crit rate. That's basically what it is. Which both Ludwig's, Melissa, and Roy Mustang, they might want that more crit rate. I think Melissa might have been fine without it because she already has a 12% EE for it. I think Green Ludwig gets awakened, gets imprint. His imprint concentration is crit rate, and I think he gets crit rate from EE as well. I could be wrong on that, but so I think Ludwig already has plenty of crit rate built into his free crit rate. But I guess ML Ludwig and Roy will definitely probably want it, and I guess you could argue that hey, that means way less crit rate to deal with. Misty Chain. Okay, so this is actually my favorite 3-star. So even just seeing her at all on here always makes me happy. But the thing is, so she's getting 8 free attack and she's getting 8% crit rate. So the thing is, I think this is kind of like them slightly telling us that maybe we might be getting a specialty change Misty Chain soon. Because if you think about it, everyone they get free crit here for these units. I don't know if Misty Chain is a Leo. I think Misty Chain is a Leo then. So she's getting they're getting a free crit rate, but no extra attack. She is just specifically getting 8 more attack with this. So maybe they actually did the Leo changes specifically for Misty Chain, so that she can because a lot of the times whenever they do specialty change for a unit, they usually buff the unit first, or they'll give them something like they'll give them like a buff or some way, or they'll change the stats maybe, and then they'll do a specialty change for them. Like when Inos got specialty change, this is like maybe 1 or 2 bounce patches. She got specialty change like 1 or 2 bounce patches after her buff. This is technically a buff for Misty Chain, even if it's just crit and attack. So maybe this is them preparing for a Misty Chain specialty change. And you think about it, they're delaying Rift, and Rift might be ice. They didn't tell us which elements after the fire one, but what if they're delaying ice because they're not ready yet for the specialty change for her? So maybe that's just me, hoping, I guess. But here is a pretty huge one though too. So ML Leica and Calric are now just getting 2 free speed. So now 121 speed on Fire, Calric, and Leica. That's actually really huge because 121 speed is like what, C Lilius levels. It's even faster than faster than Lua as well. So now you can hit that 300 speed on these units. And then you have this one over here, Topmon Lulica and Vivian, which gets 4 speed. So now they're at 119 speed. So you could actually hit good 290 near 300 speed on Topmon Lulica if you give her really good gear like that. And she has so much crit rate because she gets 27% crit rate on her natural, on her natural base and stuff, and then she gets her imprint is crit rate. Because I remember a few patches, well, it was a while ago, but they lowered it. They changed her imprint concentration from attack to crit rate. So now if you're a triple S top model Luluka, you're going to get like 41 crit rate. So now you can go into like way more into speed, attack, and crit damage. And then you think about it, if you don't need to go for Dictinus Orb anymore, now you can go for Black Hand of the Goddess and get even more crit rate. Like if you go Black Hand of the Goddess plus her natural 41 crit rate if you're a triple S, that's like almost 60% crit rate, or actually more if it's like a maxed out Black Hand of the Goddess. I think mine's only plus 15 or plus 18, so it's only like 18 I think right now. But yeah, if you get like a maxed out one, you're talking like what? I think maxed out's 24. So you're going to get like 64, 65% crit rate just based off of, base stats, imprint, and artifact. That's not even including gear then. So you can go for like, just go put everything in attack, speed, and crit damage. And even then you get like 24% crit damage also because of the artifact. So you can make a very, very scary Top Model Luluka. And with this speed, she definitely can hit 300 speed. Now, am I going to say it's going to be easy to hit 300 speed with her? No, because like look how many people are kind of struggling to hit 300 speed with Conqueror Lilius, and Conqueror Lilius is like 121, I think. So it's possible for sure. It's not going to be like super easy just because she's 119. You're not like, well, this person will have 300 speed, but like even then 290 speed, it's definitely doable on her, 100%. And now you don't need as much crit rate. If you have a triple S and you have Black Hand of the Goddess, you can go full damage, full attack and crit damage. You can be some very scary top Lulukas. Carrot and Adley, which actually kind of fun. I mean, I never tried Adley, but 114 base speed on Adley, he is now as fast as Flitica. Keep that in mind. So now you can actually, because I thought Adley was a counter to Flitica. I think people said that he was, right, or something like that. People were saying that Adley was. I don't remember. I know he gets pushed up. So maybe he gets. Oh, I see. No. He counters the S2 of Flitica. Yeah. So maybe it's a situation where like you have immunity on Adley, and then Flitica will have to S2 you, pushes Adley above your Flitica, and then Adley presses S3 and resets. That's why. Okay, but yeah, he outspeeds. He has the same speed as Flitica. Now I think Flitica was 114. And then here's a huge one. So 117 speed for Oxlots. Look at this bulk. That is insanely tanky for Oxlots. 117 base speed too. I'm definitely gonna make a tankier Oxlot. I'll probably go for like a 250, 260 speed Oxlots with like fattest amount of health and defense. Anyways, I actually had to go because I had to make a short video for this one. I say short, but still 30 minutes. Anyways, I'm actually happy about this. So, could have wished it was more units here at least, but at least this kind of makes up for it, makes it interesting. So, I will let you guys know how I really feel once the balance patch actually hits. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.